I debated whether or not to do this part because I didn't get ready today. I had one of my downline over this morning. I'm helping her get some stuff ready. Then I had one of my other downline, who's my friend, who was on yesterday with me. I left my phone cord charger at her house after we did our live yesterday. And so she stopped by, and then I had emails. I went to the post office, so there's just no makeup on or anything. But I'm gonna post my live, my part of my live that we did yesterday at my house. And I know my cat's getting ready to jump up here. I know, we all know that you couldn't see our cards very closely, and here she is. Here, just a second. Here she is. See, she wants to be on camera. Always wants to be on camera. Well, if you wanted up here, say hi. Her name's Sibby. She was in my, I'm gonna lose my chair. She was the feature of the Trick or Tweet. And if you go over to my Instagram, you can see while I was trying to move this stuff from my other project over so I could get this stuff here, then my other cat decided it was a nice place for a nap. We don't have any beds in our house. No cat beds, no human beds, no couches, just some hard tables. But we know that you couldn't see the projects very well because we know to get 3 people in, you had to be kind of far away. And we also don't have a camera crew, and we also don't have great cameras. We have iPhones. So we had lots of helpful hints about how we would like to see the projects closer. And we know we're working on it, and maybe one day we'll have lots of money and we can have some better editing software and some better cameras. But I'm gonna post, she's right here, so when I go down, she may know she's leaving. I'm gonna post the live, but it's gonna be a 2-part. I don't have editing software, so I can't meld them. So if you watch the live, then you can come watch this. Or if you watch this, then you can see the interaction live. But this is the close-up of my card. I'm gonna remake it so you can see it close up. And I was gonna do my old style fast, but I know some of you like to see the colors and especially like to know how to do the watercolor. So let me get you down here. And she may come back because she's not off the table yet, or she may take my seat. Is it in? I think it's in. I may have to adjust that. And I also have a special this weekend, so I wanted to be able to talk and tell you about the special. We're still doing the blended seasons. Great set. Skipping from my holiday catalog. I've been doing some holiday catalog preview stuff, mostly for my demonstrator friends. So yesterday on my part, we all did, my 2 girlfriends and I each did some of this. I did the Christmas. So I'm gonna redo this so you can see up close. So I'm gonna use the Christmas things out of that, and here she's coming back. So you're gonna get a headshot. Here she is. The new watercolor. She may be really close. She's, Sibby, get off the table. The watercolor pencil. So for this weekend only, if you don't have the Big Shot and you would like to buy the stamps and the watercolor pencils, then buy those from my website, and it will be on my blog, so you can go over there. It's stampinonline.com and get the details. If you buy the stamps and the watercolor pencils, then email me and I will give you whatever classic pad you want. Just let me know the color and you can get that for free. If you buy the bundle, so you get the stamps and the dies and the watercolor pencils, then you can let me know which 3 colors of stamp pads you would like for free. And that is now through Sunday night, Eastern Standard Time, like midnight, because I live in the Eastern Standard Time. So this is the holly. I don't have any scrap paper, so I'm gonna make sure I don't go off the edge. And I'm gonna, these 3 little sprigs, if you line them up on one side and kind of angle towards the top, and then you flip them back around so they'll be kind of going up the top, because the bow's gonna go in the middle. She's still on the table, so she's coming back. It's like they think that I'm doing something special as soon as I get up here. The bell's gonna go right in the middle, so if these overlap here, it doesn't matter because that covers that up. And see, they did kind of overlap, but that doesn't matter because that's gonna get covered up. So it fits nicely right across a 5.5 inch card. This is the shimmery white cardstock. It holds up well to the watercolor, but I'm actually going to use a Stella for this because I like all things shimmery, especially for a Christmas card. So here's a little scrap piece of it. This is going to go through the Big Shot. If you don't have the Big Shot, you could still do this part of this card. The little gold accent that I'm going to use, you would have to just maybe layer behind the bell. You could still make it work. Just have to do something a little different. This is the Merry Christmas. Anytime the words are fine, I know you hear me say it every time if you watch my talking videos, don't press hard because they'll make them too big. So just press lightly, and then you've got the Merry Christmas. It's a nice vintage looking set, this one. It reminds me of cards you used to get in the 70s, or that your grandparents might have. This is the Cherry Cobbler. Cherry Cobbler is one of the colors that comes in the new assortment. This is just the new assortment of pencils. I am using colors mixed with the old. And now here comes my other cat. He's the one that was sleeping up here earlier. He probably thinks that I took his bed. But whatever. So I'm going to do the bell first. I've got, I'll move this in case he comes. This is the gray. So when I do the watercolor pencils, I'm doing it upside down for you. I'm going to flip it around just so it looks, I can see the way I'd like to shade it. I'm just going to go from one end. I don't color the whole thing because I want it, I'm going to pull the color over. And because I'm using a Stella, there's not going to be a whole lot of fluid. So I'm going to kind of put more pencil over here. And then I am, if I was using a blender pen or a, now she's talking to me. Now she's running downstairs. She knows she's being ignored. If I was using a blender pen or especially an aqua painter, I might not put any over here and I'd put more color here. But the Stella doesn't have a ton of fluid in it. I don't want to waste all of my glitter. So I'm going to add a little bit over there that I'll be able to pull. So that's the gray. I'm going to take the black, which if you watched my country home, we now have my country home video, we now have a black blend, which is nice because when you have this dark color, you can add just a fraction of color. So I'm going to add just a little bit like up in these parts. And then when you pull that, it really adds some dimension to it. I don't add a lot, just a little touch of color. And then I'm going to take the gray on here, which yesterday on the live, I accidentally picked up a green because when you're going live, and especially when you're with your girlfriends, it was kind of crazy. We're still getting, like yesterday we did go horizontal, which the first couple of times we've been vertical, and like we practice and it's horizontal, and then we go live and there's just so many things that can go wrong. And we are great crafters. Technology, like I can do HTML, like I can do web stuff, but when it all gets that kind of stuff, we're just, like we can do it, but it's just a little challenging. So I'm just adding a tiny bit. And the reason I did this, the first time I made this card, like the Merry Christmas just got a little lost down here. Because this was all so much up here, and then this just got lost. So I'm just tracing a little tiny bit over the top. So it's just going to shadow it. You know, sometimes when I move too fast and the iPhone doesn't focus. Because I only have an iPhone, so you can give me some technical tips, but it won't help because I don't have any better equipment. So I know sometimes it's blurry. I'm sorry. Again, I wish I had better equipment, but I don't. So it is what it is. Okay, there we go. Then, to get the gold, this is crushed curry, and this is in the new assortment. So before we didn't have really any way to get gold. I would use the yellow pencil. We had the yellow pencil, and then I would add just like a touch of brown, and that kind of made gold. So these little sprig things, I'm going to color those. And if I wasn't using the Stella, even with this to get gold, I might add just like a little stripe of the brown pencil. But with the Stella, it makes these look gold. So I press hard. If you watch my videos, I press hard with all of our mediums. With the blends, with the pencils, with our ink. Because you want color. Unless you're going for a pastel card, which sometimes you do. You know, it's white and it's a baby card or a wedding card. Sometimes you want a pastel look. I press hard. And especially, again, the Stella, you want to just be able to brush it over it and have the pencil make the movement. Then for my reds, I have pulled out Razzleberry, Cherry Cobbler, and Real Red. And I want the cherry to be the main color so it matches my my background piece, because that is what I chose. So for my bow, I want that to be like the focal point. So the part of the bow that is the top, I'm gonna do like a heavy coat of cherry. Sometimes you may be able to see on my table. This is a table we got, I don't know, it was a junk table. But it was brown and my husband like sawed these lines into it. It was a work table, whoever, maybe it was my grandparents, I can't remember. It was a work table. And so we sawed the lines into it, painted it white, and then when it gets to be too much, we can sand it, and we, I'll do some cherry on these. Like, it was a work table in its previous life. It's been a work table, so I don't care if I press too hard. But we made it white, and we put the planks in it with a saw. So it's all fake. So I don't care if I add more character to my table. So there's the cherry. And then I want my bow to be different than my berries. So I'm going to make my berries with the Real Red. I don't want them all to be the same red, so I'll add different amounts of red to the cherry, and some I might not add any. Some I might add a lot to. Oops, missed a whole section of those with the cherry. Go back and put some cherry on those. That's what happens when you talk. And so my bow looks different. I'm going to add the highlight of it, the razzleberry. I'm going to do the underneath parts where it flipped. And I'll be able to pick up a tiny bit of the cherry with my Stella and pull that in so it matches. Okay, and then for my greens, I haven't been making sure. I hope I've been in camera the whole time. I have pulled out my Granny Apple Green, my Garden Green, and my Olive. The olive, when it colors, it has a tinge of brown when you watercolor with it. So I'm going to go mostly with my Garden Green. That's going to be my main color, just like I did with the cherry. So every leaf, I'm going to give a nice hard coat of Garden Green. And the Granny Apple Green is kind of bright for me. It would make it be kind of a 50s look, I think. That is going to be not my second color. It's going to be a highlight color. But the olive is kind of too dark. Like, I wish we had a third option of green. We don't have very many greens in the watercolor pencil. And you could mess with it. But if you're doing Christmas cards, really you want them to be fast. And if I was doing these for my Christmas cards, which would be a lovely Christmas card, I would like get everything ready and then I would plunk them all down by the TV. And then so on some of these I'll color one side. I'm not going to do all of them. Some I'll do the other side, some I'll just do half. But I would set them by the TV, and some nights I would just, when my daughter was in golf, I would have them in a little Tupperware and I would grab them, because the watercolor pencils are a great grab and go or sit by the TV and color, just like you're a kid. So some of those have olive, and then some of them will have the Granny Apple. And I'm pushing hard. Going on a plane, you could do them. If you're in the car, really, you could do them, as long as you, like I used to have one of those little flip-up Tupperware things. And you can just have them in here. And then you can just work on them. You can have your envelopes in there. If you get tired of coloring, you can address your Christmas cards. So there we go. So it's all ready. Now here's my Stella. If you haven't used these, they're filled with clear fluid. I'm going to start with my lightest color, which on this, I'm going to go with the gold. I'll hold it up in a second after I do all the golds. And if you've used watercolor pencil, when it gets wet, it just moves around. So it just fills up the empty space. And because I put a lot of lead down, it's really easy to move it around. If you don't put a lot of lead, then you have to use more of whatever wet medium you're using. I'll actually do the bell. So you can see it too. So you can see, because I did the black, it pulls that over. This was my artistry inspired class this month. And if you did that, then you got some up close videos, which when you do my artistry inspired, you not only get the videos on a private Facebook that are a little bit close with the instructions, but you get the stamps, you got the pencils, you got the dies, and then you got all of the whatever the pieces were that you needed to complete the project. So as I did it, you could do it along with me, which is kind of fun. So you can see, I don't know if you can see the shimmer. Oh, there. Aim it towards my window. So it moves the color. And so because I have a lot, I don't need to move very much. Now I'm gonna do the red, because on this card, I'll tell you my reason. I could have some scrap paper, but on the red, then I'll be able to go to this green, and that's gonna get covered up by the bell. So see, it just moves it. And because it's watercolor, you want it to look like you kind of painted it. So you don't, if not every inch of it has to be colored with the color. A little bit of white space is fine. It looks like you painted it then. So it doesn't have to go all the way up to the lines. Then with the, see, and because there's a ton of lead, barely have to move it with the Stella. So I'm not wasting a ton of my Stella fluid, because these do dry up. Although you can, if you're careful, you can take them over to your sink and kind of drip water in them, and they make a great little aqua painter themselves, or you can dip it into water. So you can see, and if the other thing you can do is, it wastes fluid, which is why I don't like to do it. Can you see it in my window? Is you can take them and you can just dab the color off. So you'll be able to see it best on the green, because the green's the largest space. I'll start here in the middle. And you'll be able to see it as it moves. And because it's got more than one color, that's why I like to use more than one color of pencil. I mean, it could move one color, but this kind of blends it all around. It takes the Stella a second to dry, because it's wet, which is why I did the bell first, because it's going to run through the Big Shot in just a second. It's so pretty. It's really pretty in person. I was at Macy's. I was jean shopping. Actually, I started out bathing suit shopping, but that's just not any fun. It's never fun to bathing suit shop. And I was by myself, so I moved to the jeans department. A lot more fun. I got some good jeans. I got a pair of jeans that I loved, but they were kind of big. Not too big. Like, I could have lived with them, but they ended up being perfect for my friend, so it was just a lot of fun. But there was a shirt, and I almost got it. I still may go back and get it if I decide to go shopping this weekend. But it said, it looks better in real life. And I thought that might be kind of fun for when I film sometimes. Because we say that, because all these things, they all look better in real life. The camera just can't capture how pretty a lot of our cards are, especially when you use something like the Stella. And I'm going to use the glimmer paper in a second. So with the shimmer paper, the glimmer paper, and the Stella, they just look better in real life. There's just no, the camera just can't capture it. Okay, then I'm going to flip this over because I don't have any scrap paper. Like, oh, I didn't do the Merry Christmas. And it's okay that it has a little hint of color. I'm going to start here in the middle in case it gets a little bit of green. It didn't really though. So I'm just going to, I want a little bit of the Stella because I want a little bit of the glitter. And I want a little bit of that gray. I want the shadow. I don't want it to be perfect over the Merry Christmas. I just want it there. Because I want it to not be so tiny down there with everything else. So try to aim that in the light. And then I'll hold it still a second. So maybe my phone, if it's blurry, I can't tell. Because, you know, looking over my bifocals, so it's blurry to me no matter what I do. That's why part of the time I can't tell if you guys are seeing it blurry because it's blurry to me. Okay, so I'm going to lay that there. I'm going to move my Big Shot up here. So if you didn't get the dies, you could fussy cut the bell. And it wouldn't be so bad. I don't think my Big Shot's going to fit all the way in the view. But then the set also comes with these little filigrees. So I'm going to, our new glimmer paper doesn't have the coating on it that the other one used to, because sometimes I used to tear that off. And you could always cut on the back of the other one, which made it a little bit easier to cut the Big Shot stuff out of, except you couldn't do it with words, because then they would be background words or letters. Like if you had the Mary or a letter. So if you don't have the dies, what I would do is fussy cut the bell and then lay it on top of this, because it's super easy to cut out because there's no backing on it. Wondered what was wrong, it wasn't lined up in there. And then just trace another size around the bell so it's got a layer of the gold glimmer around it, because it really adds just an extra little bit of dimension to the card. Okay. Hopefully that was all cut out. Yep, looks good. So pop my little filigrees out. It comes with two, the set does, so you have one that goes both ways. And there's my bell. My cat's over asleep on my keyboard. I have to clean the hair off of it all the time. So here I got my cherry cobbler. The rest of putting this together is super easy. Just nail this on here. This was one of those ones that I just did like a trim border, because if you're doing Christmas cards, sometimes, you know, this part ends up taking forever because you're trying to put everything so it's square on there. So I like to do it so this border doesn't really matter so much, and there's no border this way. It goes super fast that way. And I didn't put any ribbon, because if you're doing Christmas cards, to tie lots of ribbon, if you have to mail very many Christmas cards, it just takes a long time. So then I'm going to just put some snail right here. See how big this is. So it's going to be kind of big, this big. Like one here. See, they just add a nice little bit of, a nice little accent. But you could, like I said, just layer this once. And then I'm going to get one little thing. And I have been pretty good about putting those in there if you've watched my thing about putting my dimensionals in there. And then stick that on there. Isn't that pretty? I don't know if you can see. If you go over to my website, I will have my special, but I'll also have some up close pictures. You still don't catch all of the glimmer. You'll have, if you want to see how shimmery it is in person, you'll have to make it yourself. But it's super pretty. Here's my one I did. Sometimes the ones I do on camera don't look as good. This one looks pretty good. My bow was a little bit better on this one, because when I can take my glasses off and color right. So there you go. Remember, if you, by Sunday, if you buy the stamps and the pencils, you can pick any color. You can't get the memento because that's not part of the special, but any color of our classic pads, any of the 4-color families or any of the N colors, one color, email me. You have to go to my website and use the host code when you order. If you have questions about that, you can message me. Or if you order the bundle and the which is the Big Shot dies and the stamps and the watercolor pencils. Then you can pick 3 colors of whatever you want. So have a great weekend, and I will be back to show you some more stuff soon. Bye.